Hi, my name is Chris Ryan. Welcome to my coaching studio here at Hit Golf Academy. Today we're talking about the short game, those shots over about 30 or 40 yards, and we're going to be using body track to help us understand a little bit better how we have to use the ground to improve our rhythm, our tempo, and ultimately hit these shots a little bit closer to the hole. So we're talking about pitching, and we're talking about the shots that you might hit from around about maybe 15, 20 yards up to maybe 30 or 40 yards. So often called the kind of scrambling shots when you're around the green. Got the body track. Body track is going to be measuring how I move my pressure through the golf swing. So maybe where my pressure is at setup, is it on my toes, on my heels? Is it favoring my lead side, my trail side? And then it will also measure how that pressure moves through the golf swing. And what we're going to try and do in this video is give you some ideas on what you might want to try and feel through the golf swing to improve your consistency on these shots. Now, these shots are very often, they're feel shots, aren't they? They're 20, 30 yards. We're not really, thinking about moving the club to a certain point and here. We're just sort of feeling that shot. I'm just going to try and get a lot more feel into these shots. So we're going to talk a little bit about some advice that I hear a lot when I have people coming in for lessons that I think really does them a disservice in their golf swing and actually makes them hit these shots a lot worse with less consistency. And that advice is when golfers get told to preset the weight onto the lead side, that's my left side, and then to ensure that I strike the ball correctly, I'm going to make sure that once I set my weight there, it's going to stay there throughout the swing. Now this is definitely something I hear almost from every single golfer I coach who's had some coaching in the past on these pitch shots. They all tell me the same thing. I'm going to set my weight left and I'm going to hold it there. When I kind of ask a few more questions, I generally hear the response that that's going to help me strike the ball. It's going to help me hit down. It's going to help me, get the sweet spot of the club onto the ball. Now, as I say, using my body track here, that's going to help us really look a little bit more in depth as to what actually happens when I hit my shot. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to hit this shot maybe 30 yards. It's really not going to be a longer shot at all. But we're going to see what happens when I hit my little pitch shot. So I've got my target out there. Body track is working. And that's gone about 30 yards there. So if we pop up what body track showed on that particular swing, you're going to see that at setup there, I had my weight distribution pretty even. It was 55% on my left side. So it was slightly favouring my lead leg at setup, and that would be something I'd advise. I tend to like to see golfers fairly balanced, but slightly favouring the lead side. But the really interesting thing here is, even though that ball only went 30 yards, you can see that I shifted pressure to my trail foot and then back to my lead side. So I made a move which was quite similar to what I would do with my golf swing, my irons and my driver. It wasn't to the same extreme numbers. I didn't shift as much pressure, but there was some pressure shift to the trail side, to the lead side. Strike was good, ball went exactly, well, pretty much where I wanted it. Now, what we tend to see from the golfers who have this idea of setting the weight and holding the weight is that, yes, they'll set up with maybe 60% on that lead side, but when they're focused very much on maintaining that, I tend to see these golfers not really using the lower body at all. They tend to get very dominant with the upper body, the shoulders and the arms, because they're really trying to feel that what I've set in my lower body, I'm trying to maintain for the whole golf swing. To me, I see way more drawbacks from that. I see more issues being caused from the golfers who are trying to keep the weight on the left side. What I tend to find is when I make a practice swing, so let's say I was hitting this shot 30 yards to my target, when I'm making my practice swing, I will almost use my feet in the ground as a way to create some really nice rhythm in my shot. I'm feeling that my pressure is slightly moving between my back and my lead side. I can see from the screen in front of me there, that's almost going up 80% and then back onto that lead side. I'm not doing it aggressively. I'm not trying to shift pressure to get that reaction from the ground like I am doing with my irons and my driver, but I certainly feel like I'm using my feet, I'm using my legs, I'm using my hips with the ground to create some rhythm. Now, the golfers I see who aren't great at these short games very often have a fairly decent technique, but what lets them down, I should say, is the rhythm, is the tempo, is the timing of that shot. And this is absolutely key if you're going to play these shots correctly. So what I want you to do is, I don't mind you setting a little bit more weight left. You can see that when I play that shot, I've got probably 60% left there. But let's feel that we actually use the ground and use that movement of my feet to help me get some rhythm. Notice where my body is here at the end. I'm very much facing the target. I've rotated through. I've used my legs quite a lot, even though this shot is only 30 yards. Let's not set the weight left 60% and feel like it has to stay there through the swing, because that's really going to limit what you can do in your lower body, and ultimately that's going to make those contacts more difficult, more inconsistent. It's going to make your distance control poorer, and I definitely don't think you're going to get quite as close to the hole. So maybe start to think a little differently. Maybe look at what you've been told in the past. Maybe not going to be the best information for you. Let's use the ground. Let's get some pressure shift. I certainly think it's going to help you with your rhythm, your tempo, your strike, and ultimately hitting that ball closer to the hole. Thanks for watching. Usual stuff, as always, is down below. There's a comments box down there. There's a like button, and there's also a link to subscribe to the channel. So if you're not a subscriber, go ahead and click that link. There's now 4 videos going up each and every week. That's a Monday, a Wednesday, a Friday, and now a Saturday with my new video series, Subscriber Saturday. If you haven't seen that, go ahead and check that out. You can even send me your golf swing for me to analyze. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.